Hey everyone, it's Rob the Backyard Gardener, and it's time for an update on my mango trees that I'm growing from seed. You'll recall in the last video, just over 2 weeks ago, I had started a couple of new ones on August 7th, as well as I had that leading one that I started on July 21st. At that time, it was 17 days old on the initial one and 0 days old on the ones I just started. I promised you I'd give you an update in a couple of weeks, and I'm here to do that today. In today's video, I'm going to show you the two that are now, I guess what is today, the 25th? They're 18 days old, and now the one that's over a month old. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at these mango trees grown from seed. So here are the two that I started on August 7th. I wanted to give you a look at one with the greenhouse and one without so you can see what I'm doing. So once I noticed, if you watched my last video, once the root got to about 2-3 inches long, and on that front one it was a little bit too long, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer before I planted it. But on these ones, once the root got 2 inches long, I set it in some soil, pinched the soil around it, and I put it in a greenhouse. Now, I have it in this little mini greenhouse mainly because I don't want the seed to dry out, and because the root's not that long, what'll happen is if the soil gets too dry, then the seed will die and it won't really send out deeper roots. So I have it in this greenhouse method. Nothing has sprouted on top of it yet, but this is the seed that I thought wouldn't make it. It doesn't look the best. Even now it doesn't look the best, but it is greening up. Maybe it'll make it. The other one, I pulled the greenhouse off the top of it just because I wanted to get you an idea of what it looks like. And you can see in here, it is clearly starting to sprout a little tiny mango tree. So this one I buried sideways. This one I buried straight up and down. I wanted to test two different methods. I'm going to be putting the greenhouse back on top of this until that sprout right there gets to about 2 inches tall. Now I'll tell you, on the one that I started on July 21st, I left the greenhouse bag on it probably too long. I was actually just pulling it up as it grew until it outgrew the bag. I thought that would be a good method, but I'll tell you, it struggled. Let me go ahead and grab it over here and give you a good look at this guy. You can clearly see he's grown a ton, but all the initial leaves, the minute I pulled the bag off, started to crinkle and not look as good. It's like it took a while to adjust into the regular humidity of the surrounding air. So I immediately put the bag back on it and I chopped holes on the sides and on the top to allow the 100% humidity to be more like 50% humidity. That helped him a lot. And as his leaves acclimated to the less than 100% humidity environment, I then removed the bag altogether, and it's been about a week that he's been out of the bag, and his new leaves look fantastic. They look fantastic. But again, the first couple, he even lost some of the smaller leaves, and you can see the damage back there on that one from the acclimation process. Matter of fact, I'll show you that. He really struggled acclimating from the high humid conditions to the less than high humid conditions. But anyway, that's why I put the bag back on. That's why I cut the holes. So if I was doing it again, like I am, as soon as this plants sprout, I'm gonna start cutting holes and allowing this high humid environment to be less humid so that the leaves don't have a shock once the bag is removed. If you think about it, this guy turned 1 month old just 4 days ago. So he's about 35 days old right now. And let me see if I can get you some better close-ups. I apologize for the lighting. I'm trying to be a little bit further away from my pool because it's so loud, and I'm sure that the background noise is a little bit disturbing, but this is the best place to do it. I don't want him to be in direct sunlight. He's never seen direct sunlight. And if I put him out there or do it in that kind of lighting, I'm afraid that it'll burn his leaves. He's still pretty young and he's been grown indoors right now. But yeah, look at this guy. He is probably 10 inches tall. And this seed I planted sideways, just like I did that one. I just put the roots straight down, put in soil all around the root, watered it, slightly packed it down, added more soil, and kept on doing that process until it filled the soil around the root. Once it did that and it was firmed up, he was ready to rock and roll. He's got several new leaves growing on top. And he looks, in my opinion, really, really great. Other than the hardening off process from the humid conditions to where he is now. But I'm pretty happy with the progress. This is gonna be a short video. I just wanted to give you an idea where they're at. Not much update on these guys. We do have a sprout there, so I'm optimistic that we're gonna get a second one for sure. We'll have to see how this guy does. One of the things I do want to point out with the young mango trees is that I am keeping the soil moist. Not soaked, not saturated. These little pots have drainage holes, and I am making sure that they constantly at least stay somewhat moist. Now, as they mature and the roots get even more established, I probably could lay off on the top part of the pot being watered. I'll start watering from the bottom, but for now, every other day, I'm putting in a little bit of water just to keep it a constant flow. As soon as the water flows out of the bottom, and not much does come out, but as soon as it does come out, I dump it and I let it sit for a couple of days again. That's what I've been doing, at least on this guy. These guys, once I initially planted them and had water and let it all drain out, the greenhouse is keeping it moist inside. I have not added any more water since I did this. I also want to point out that they sprouted in 4 to 5 days. And then about another 5 days later, the roots were big enough in my opinion. So these guys have been in these pots with the greenhouse method for about 10 days. I didn't want to leave them in the bags too long for fear of mold. And I know we use the inorganic material that's saran wrap, but at the end of the day, a closed environment, completely closed with no airflow is not always the best. I also, once a day, pull the bags off for about 5 minutes, let it circulate some air around them, and then reclose the bag on top. So I am not just exclusively leaving the bags on them. I seem to have some success right now, fingers crossed. This one's doing well. Like I said, I'm pretty optimistic about this one now that we've got a sprout coming up. He did not have that when I planted him, similar to this. It took about, about 8 days till I finally saw something, and hasn't had much movement in the last 2 days, but there is some movement. Now that we've got you caught up 2 weeks from the last one, I'm gonna give it 2 more weeks again, and then we'll get you another update. At that time, this guy will be right around 50 days old, and this guy will be closer to a month, and we'll see how they're doing. So there you have it, everyone. That's my mango trees grown from seed update right around days, I guess this would be days 18 to 35. I'll keep giving you updates every couple of weeks for the initial part of the series until we got established plants. Now, one thing I do want to say is that whenever you grow mango trees from seeds, it's not uncommon for the young saplings to just die. I'm going to do my best to keep these guys going. There's been a lot of people that have attempted to grow these that they've perished sometime around the 1 month to 3 month mark. So I'm going to keep a close eye on them. I'm going to keep them indoors, out of direct sunlight, use my grow room lights, and hope that they can get past this difficult stage. Anyway, I think they're off to a great start. Hopefully you feel the same. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. And if you are, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy gardening, and thanks for watching.